Well, there's no, you said there was no source of evil.
I know that there's no source of evil and how people think there is a source of evil, but I believe that only hurt people hurt people. Like, imagine that somebody that is full of love and light and is just a kind and compassionate and loving person, they don't hurt people.
I don't necessarily think that's true.
You don't think those people hurt people?
No, I think those people hurt people unintentionally. But
but then that's if it's unintentional, and if they feel they've done it with love, that's about your work understanding that people,
no, But I think like I don't think there is truly a person that's totally filled.
No, of course they're not. It's like I said before. There's always work. There's always work to do. And no, people don't intentionally hurt people. Most people don't intentionally hurt people. And yes, we do. We all hurt people. But again, it's about the love. If they were connected and could see what they were doing, but because they're also we're all living from our perspective. We're all living from our own perspective, and all our traumas we bring through to all our relationships, all our, and so we react to life. So for example, that's why people tend to marry their most difficult parent. Like when they go through life. So if you've got a difficult relationship with your mother, generally if we don't do the work, you'll end up marrying somebody that's like your mother, because that's what you know as to be your normal, like your patterns, and so it becomes, that's familiar, and so you are attracted to that. But once and so it's about, like, couples bring their trauma and they expect the other one to heal them, but we've all got to do our own work. When we all do our own work, when you do that work on yourself, then you'll attract that which you want. So I always say to any of my clients that come into me and they're sort of in a place, I always say, because I generally work with people for a year, the one-to-one, and I'll just say, if they're single, it's just like, now is not the time to find a relationship, because they come to me and say, I really want to be with somebody, or I want to find a life partner. I'll just say, love yourself first. It always begins, and when you love yourself, it's because you know who you are, know yourself, love yourself, and just trust yourself. And when you do that, then you can come into a relationship, and you'll attract, when you start to love yourself, you'll attract somebody on that equal level, and then that's when it works, because then you can work together and grow together. What we're doing is that we tend to look for somebody to fill the empty part of us, and that's where we go wrong.
What do you mean by an equal level?
No, as in when we both work and fill ourselves up. Sorry, that's what I mean by equal level. As in, when we each work on filling ourselves up first, then we can come together and work together through life, hand in hand, as opposed to expecting the other person to heal your old wounds and fill up that emptiness that's in you. It's not about, and we've got to be okay on our own. If you're not okay on your own, you're definitely not going to be with somebody else. You've got to be okay with yourself. When you're okay with yourself, then that's when you attract somebody that you want in your life. You can still want and have desires, but if you're not filled up from yourself, you'll end up finding people to fill that. And then of course, when they don't fill that up, then it's their fault. It's they're to blame. But actually, we're each responsible for our own well-being, mind, body, and soul.
Is there not cases where they are to blame though?
Yes, but you can't control that. Like other people, you can't control how other people treat you. You can't control how other people behave around you.
Well, technically, you can control that, because you choose whether or not
you're around them, yes, but you can't control how they behave. But what you can control is you can't control how your emotions, but understanding your emotions. So for example, I've grown up, spent most of my life empty, expecting my children, my husband, life to fill me up. So I got what I wanted, and it does sustain you, but it's not sustainable. Again, like that motivation, it doesn't sustain you. It's not sustainable. So as soon as they've got something other in their life, or, like my kids grew up, for example, that's when I hit deep depression, when my kids got older, because I was a full-time mum. As my kids started, live their own lives, have their own lives, I all of a sudden was empty, because I was like, I'd used them to fill me up. Like I'd obviously didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do that on purpose, but I was so empty that when I wanted children, because I was like, I wanted to feel that love. So I had that when they were small. It was wonderful. But as they started to not want me, I mean, it really hit me hard because they didn't need me, and so I was empty again. But I couldn't fill that. I didn't fill myself up. So that's when I hit really deep, dark depression. I was like, I didn't want to live. As much as I loved the children, I had the love for them, and they had the love for me, but they weren't filling me up because they weren't always there. Like the rejection, everything was just so hurtful for me. I didn't know that at the time, and I've done all the inner work before. I thought I'd done that from my near-death experience. I thought I'd done the work on the emotional work and my physical. So I'd worked on my physical, and then when I lost my mum suddenly, in my mid-30s, I went on this spiritual journey. But what I hadn't realised when I hit deep depression, I hadn't worked on my mind. I hadn't actually connected. And this is where it all came together. And that's why with my work, it's about mind, body and spirit. Like you can't just work on one and think that everything's okay. So say somebody's overweight, for example, and they work on their weight and they do really well, they get their weight right down to where they want it. And as they're moving forward, they're happy. And they're feeling really happy with themselves. But once they've got to their end result, then most people put their weight back on because they're that emptiness, they've stopped that motivation. They're no longer pushing. And then the weight will just go back on because they're still empty. They'll look for other things to fill. The reason people overeat is because they're filling that emptiness within, because it helps them to feel more at peace. Like we're actually literally feeding ourselves to help us to feel more whole. But we are whole once we realize and fill ourselves up with the love and joy that we are. So we're all just perfect as we are, really. It's just about what we allow ourselves to be, letting ourselves just be ourselves. So for me, like I can even sit here doing this, because when I was growing up, I was so shy, so insecure, and this is me stepping out of my comfort zone. But I couldn't have done this. I couldn't have done it because it was just too much, too out of what I thought I could do. But what I had to do is just fill myself up and realize I have to trust everything that comes through me now. I trust that what I do, I trust myself. And because I'm tuned in spiritually, mind, body and soul, and I feel like my mind and my soul are connected, then like that divine wisdom just flows through me. And so I trust that. So I'm sitting here because I trust that divine wisdom. I know that everything that I say and do is done with love. It's done from that place of alignment. And so I have to share that. I cannot keep that to myself because it's too valuable. I see people around me not able to manage their emotions, not to feel that emptiness inside. Even if they're like their job and they're in a happy marriage, it's that emptiness of just not knowing who they truly are. But when you know yourself, you then start to love yourself. And then that's deep. For me, it's about the trust. Because every step I take, I just trust in the journey. And so I do have to step out my comfort zone. I do have to expand what I'm doing, but I know that I trust in the process. I know this is part of what I was born to do. I was born to do this work. I was born to share. And that came from me being empty, filling myself up, learning my own ways of doing that, and being able to share that with the world. And I could just be me. I've got a great life, my little house, my nice house in Italy, my family, I'm healthy, but what use is that? That is not my purpose. I could just do it for myself, but I want to share it. It's like I've got this, it's just oozing out of me that I just want to share it with people, because it's like if I'm sitting at a banquet table with all the food I can eat, everything that I can choose, and there's people hungry around me, there's no joy in that. There's no joy. It's about learning yourself, filling yourself up, and then being able to emit that beautiful love and light and share it with the world. And then that's my purpose. That's why I'm here, and that's why I'm sitting here right now. But as I decided to have these recordings done and move and be here just even today, I had to, my ego mind would then, my practical mind, because obviously again that's my physical mind, the fear comes in and says, oh, I can't do that, I don't want to do that's going to be hard. But then again I have to go back into my soul and say, that's not me, that's not who I am. This love that I emit, this me being here to share, to help people to see themselves in a different light, is who I am, and that's what I've got to share.
let your